All right, so now that Jim is in the caucus room, we're gonna have a little bit of a caucus to ourselves. All we're gonna do during this caucus is talk about what we've talked about so far, how you feel about it, what you feel about it, and the rest of the agenda items on the agenda. So first of all, talking to the band seems like a pretty big portion of this. So you haven't talked to the band
No, I haven't.
about any of the things going on here. What do you feel about that situation like?
Well, I was just trying to keep the band out of it. I didn't really want to bring them into it, but now
Right.
I'm realizing that maybe I should have said something to the band, but
Maybe talking to the band before might have been a good idea.
it would be well. I mean, hopefully we'll get this all resolved and then
Right.
we can bring it up to the band.
So
And if they're willing to forgive Jim, hopefully they'll forgive me.
that's true. So based on what information I've got here so far, it seems like all the executive decisions made by the band are being made by you. So would that clarify, are you the leader of the band? Or you at least, want to say that you are?
Yeah, well, in private, maybe, but.
Alright. You think maybe like Jim thinks he has some sort of leadership in the band as well?
Yeah,
You know what, why don't you tell me a little bit about like the rest of the band, like, what kind of relationships do you have with the rest of the band?
well, so Jim is my childhood best friend, so we've known each other for a long time.
So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and Jim.
You guys put together a band, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was always a dream of ours, and now we succeeded. That's why I felt like a little betrayed, but it's okay. We're childhood friends, so I'm willing to get over it. And then Jared, who's on the drums, is his roommate. So we know each other for like a little bit, just visiting and stuff.
Right, yeah.
And then the bass player, Jordan, is actually my ex. Probably wasn't a good idea to date in the band, but no one told me that until it was too late. And actually, the keyboardist is Jim's younger brother.
Alright.
So they all like Jim.
So it seems like,
Probably more than-
Jim's got quite a strong relationship with many of the members of the band.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you think it's probably a good idea for you to start making all these decisions for the band?
In
Taking Jim out?
retrospect, probably no. It's probably not a good idea.
So moving forward in the future, something that either you can agree on to yourself, possibly, maybe being more honest with the band, you can open up to.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something you could talk to Jim as well. Maybe that's something that you could offer as part of maintaining the relationship, which is what we're going to talk about next. So
Sounds fair.
can I put that down?
Yeah.
So we're gonna bring that up back in mediation when we get back, when we bring Jim back. Say that maybe you can try to be more communicative with the band, treat the band as everyone is equals in the process. It's one unit, right?
Yeah.
That's something we can talk about. So how do you actually feel about? So now that we got, that's one thing here. What other options do we have to help the relationship? I know we got two big agreements right now that seem like they're good for the band, but what about between you and Jim?
I don't know. I haven't really gotten like a personal apology from Jim. And I feel like that's something that's very important because I don't feel like he was only betraying the band, but like me as well.
So personal apology, that's acceptable. That's something that you can definitely ask for. So if I understand what you're saying here, you're saying that you want Jim to apologize to you personally. Now, is that you're talking about for the album, for his album for release, or is that for did you guys have obviously you probably had a falling out? So.
Yeah, we had an argument. Things got a little heated, and it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should probably apologize as well. Probably both
Yeah, so-
apologize. Mutual apology.
Mutual apology. That sounds like something fair, right? And we could do that even here today. Did you want that to be a written apology? Do you want this to be a verbal apology?
No, it can just be a verbal apology.
Verbal apology works, yeah. So that's definitely something we can bring back to the table as well. After that, can you think of any other options you might have? Anything else? Maybe things you don't want to tell Jim about immediately that we could possibly work into bringing back into mediation. Things you're uncomfortable with about the agreements we've made already, because I want to make sure everyone's equal on this.
I think that everything sounds pretty good so far.
appreciate it. Really appreciate it. So, so obviously talking to the band's a big part of it. The third album idea is an idea you guys can put together and try to talk to the agents about that too, whatever deals you guys end up making. And then you're gonna bring to the back to the table, treating the band as a unit, equality there, and then as well as you're trying to ask for a mutual apology, right?
Yes.
Is there anything else that you want to ask of Jim, possibly?
I don't know, maybe, I feel like a lot of the band is kind of biased towards Jim, and sometimes that makes me feel like I'm not being heard fully, so maybe that's something that we could talk about together, like how to make the band more.
So, I guess I'm a little confused about that. So what you're saying is like, since you feel like the band is a little bit more closely related to Jim, that you want to have your voice be heard as well?
Yeah.
So,
I'm afraid that like Jim will say something and then they'll all just automatically side with Jim because they like him better. So I guess maybe like working to some sort of like, I don't know, it's
like a
really
democratic,
hard,
like
right?
not so just democratic, but like, you know, everybody on board, not
Yeah.
majority vote, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something we can do. So what you want to do is you want to improve the, really it's just communication in the band, honestly.
Yeah.
It's like, improving communication between you two is useful, it's good. It's a useful skill, definitely to have, but to improve communication in the band, I think definitely that'll improve your guys' relationship with the band and between each other in the future.
Yeah.
Most definitely, so, that's something we can bring to the table easily. And that's mostly on, you know, like biased issues, you know, you wanna
Yeah.
make sure that everyone's voice is heard.
Yeah. Just wanna make sure it's fair.
All right, and so I'm not gonna have any control over how you guys do that, but definitely we can bring that up to the table, maybe Jim can have some sort of solution. We're about out of time for this caucus. So, only two more things I wanna talk about with you. First is, about Jim's album still being up. How do you feel about the way that that is affecting the band's progress?
Well, personally, I don't really like it. I think that it kind of slows down the band's progress because people are just thinking more like Jim than like about the band. But if it does bring publicity, that's something that we're definitely going to take into consideration.
Right. So when you consider the agreements that have been made here, the two agreements you guys come to, talking with the band and the third album, does that make Jim's album seem a little bit less of an issue? Can you guys, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it still hurts, but it's definitely something that I can see that Jim's willing to work, so I'm willing to work with Jim.
Awesome, that's perfect. So, what was the last thing I needed to talk to you about? I had it written here somewhere. This is just gonna be an overview of what we're gonna bring back to the band. Oh, that's what it is. So we don't have to bring everything we talked about in the caucus to the mediation. We can leave some of it here and you can bring it up on your own account, or we can be open about it and bring it back. So what would you not like to bring back?
I think we should bring it all back.
Bring it all back?
I think if we're gonna work on me being honest with everyone, we should just start here.
That's true.
Let's do it.
That's true. So we're gonna talk about band equality. You know, everyone, you know, being treated as an equal as part of the band, instead of anyone taking sole leadership. You're gonna ask for a mutual apology. We talk about that as well. And then we want everyone's voice to be heard in the band in some way. We can write that up in an agreement. So, is there any of these elements that you would like me to talk to Jim about in the caucus, or you just want to save them for the mediation? Because I can do either.
Let's just save them for the mediation.
That sounds fair. Perfect. All right. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and grab you, and then we're gonna head down to the. Sounds weird. I'm gonna go ahead and walk you down to the caucus room. We're gonna bring Jim back here, and I'm gonna have a short meeting with him about the same length. That was roughly what. Can you see it says over there?
10?
9 minutes.
10 minutes and 8 seconds.
So it's about a 10-minute caucus. I'm gonna take a 10-minute caucus with him as well, and then we're gonna come back and use our last 10 minutes to discuss these options we've generated here. And then I'll leave you guys with some homework for the next session if we even need a next session. Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
Awesome. Thank you very much. All right. Come with me. All right, Jim. Thank you for coming to mediation today. I know you were the one that reached out to get this started, and it seems like Jesse's been really willing to work with mediation as well, which I'm really happy about. I'm honestly really happy that you guys are getting this much progress here too. So we had a short caucus. I'm going to explain. We're going to have a short caucus. I'm going to explain what a caucus is. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a bunch of different agenda items. You know, what we haven't talked about, what we have talked about already, and how you feel about it. And then we're going to, after that, after the caucus is finished, we're going to discuss what elements that we talked about you want to bring back to the mediation, and then, or what elements you don't want to bring back is probably a better way to put it. And then what we're going to do is grab Jessie and then bring her back to mediation. Then we're going to talk about what options we generated in both of your guys' caucuses for the last 10 minutes, and then leave you guys with a little bit of homework for next time if we even need it next time. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Awesome. Perfect. So to begin, we just talked about, we got 2 agreements on the table. We're going to talk to the band. And you guys need to talk about a bunch of different things. We might make that a little bit more complicated, but it sounds like you guys need to talk to the band about what the situation is in the first place, just context in general, the offers that are on the table, and then the concept of the third album, right? And then the third album is the other agreement that you guys have made. You're gonna at least, make that part of your discourse, part of your discussion. And that's an option that'll just be put on the table. That's a real big. I couldn't ask you for a better way to improve the relationship. It really is a great. I don't know exactly how the process works, but that sounds like it's gonna be.
Yeah, it should help a lot.
That should help a lot, at least with maintaining the relationship. So, that being said, how do you feel about our agreement so far?
I think it's been going well so far.
Yeah, it's been going really well. Yeah. So this idea of a third album, you're all up for?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
It'll be a good opportunity to get the band some more recognition and kind of work with both the albums that are out already.
Right. Right. So, the next thing we're going to talk about on the list, on the agenda, is possible options for improving the relationship. Right?
Okay.
Specifically between you and Jessie, if not also the way the band functions as a unit. All right? So, what I'd like to begin with is, and just by asking you, is there anything that you can do personally to help improve the relationship?
I think being willing to work with the band a little bit more, work with Jessie a little bit more on stuff about the band, and then being a little more open about, what all's going on.
That's fine. Speaking of the band, mind telling me a little bit about what your relationship is like with the rest of the band members?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just curious as to see what the dynamic is within the group.
Our keyboard is my younger brother, and so he and I are pretty close. And then everybody else, we're all friends. Jessie and I have been friends the longest, except for me and my brother. But we're all friends with each other. Jordan and Johnny are both really close. They're good. And so I like being around them and everything.
So you've got there's yourself, there's Jessie, there's Johnny, your younger brother.
Yeah.
Jordan is
our bassist.
Bassist?
Yeah.
All right, and then and what's your relationship with the group?
Just overall.
Yeah.
I mean, we just kind of started this all. Jordan was my my ex, and we're still managing to stay close and stay friends despite everything.
All right, and then anyone else in the band?
Yeah, Jared was an old college roommate of mine. He plays drums, so he and I are really close. We spent a lot of time together in college.
Perfect. so obviously you've got a pretty close relationship with all the members of the band,
Yeah.
right? So, would you call yourself the leader of the band?
Yeah, I mean, most of the time, the lead singer would be the leader of the band. There aren't a lot of bigger bands that would have that the other way around, but especially since I'm kind of the closest one and kind of the connection between everybody, I'd say I'm the leader.
You'd say you're the leader? So how do you think the rest of the band would feel about you, so as a leader, would you have the decision-making power for the band?
I don't know, I think there are a couple of people that wouldn't mind it so much. I mean, like my brother and Jared, I don't think would mind very much if I'm like making decisions, but I try to, kind of keep, everybody involved at least a little bit so that, there's, some talking going on.
All right. So, if you call yourself you're calling yourself the leader of the band.
Yeah.
That's fine. No big deal. How do you feel like the dynamic in the band works now, and if there's a way we can change it to help maintain relationships? That's an option.
Yeah, I mean, me and Jesse do most of the writing and everything. We're the heavy part of the creative process, and I think, I don't know, I at least know for Jared, he likes to be able to put some input in, so maybe we could talk to the rest of the band and see if they want to have more input on the creative process a little bit.
Yeah, so creative input is the thing we could maybe that'll help. It's like, I know we're here to talk about the mediation between you and Jesse,
Mhm.
but it sounds like the band is pretty important to both of you. So I
Yeah.
just wanna make sure the band is brought in together to and obviously these decisions are not made for the band. If they don't agree with them, we're talking to them later, right?
Yeah.
We're talking to them later. So, you wanna bring in the band more on the creative process, right?
Yeah.
And that might, so that'll definitely, add some equality to the group. So that I like it. I think that's a good thing you can put forward.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So obviously you got a good relationship with everybody in the band. What can you do to improve relationships with Jesse?
I guess I need to, I didn't think that we really had any problems or anything, but I guess this whole album thing kind of,
She's pretty mad.
yeah, made it clear that, we need to be able to talk more about what's going on and and we need to be even less willing to hold secrets and stuff.
Right, so
we both held secrets from each other and from the rest of the band, so less willing to do that.
So you want to propose more of more of openness, better communication between the two of you at least.
Yeah.
All right. So we can bring that as an option as well. You want to find a way. In what ways? Just honesty, just as part of it.
Yeah, I mean honesty, and then also like, I don't know, whatever comes before honesty too. Like, cause like I didn't tell her about the record deal, but she also didn't ask about the record deal or the offer.
Sure.
So like, but I shouldn't have to, wait for her to ask about it. I should be able to tell without waiting for that question.
So you just want to make sure that when it pertains to the music of the band and the band's interactions,
Yeah.
you want that open information to be on the table.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So correct me if I'm wrong here, but you want to propose more openness to the band's workings.
Yeah.
All right, cool. We can work with that. And then lastly, obviously we're working to improve the relationship at this point. You guys seem like you've come to a pretty good agreements about what the band's been doing. Is there anything that you want to ask of Jesse?
Kind of just the same thing. Just kind of ask that she be more open and talk about what's going on a little bit more.
All right. So you want a sense of, again, correct me if I'm wrong here. You want a sense of mutuality between the two of you. You want agreements to be made within the band.
Yeah.
Between the two of you and with the rest of the band, right?
Yeah.
And so you just want to ask her to be just as upfront with you as you want to be upfront with her.
Yeah.
All right, that's definitely something you can propose. Definitely.
Great.
All right. So I've got 3 big options here, including the band on the creative process, a more openness of communication specifically from yourself with the rest of the band, and then also propose that Jesse does the same.
Yeah. That sounds good.
Is there any of those you don't want to bring back to mediation? Anything we talked about here at all that you don't want to bring back to mediation?
No, I think the creative process shouldn't be too hard to bring back. That's something that'll mostly just be between us and the band.
Alright, cool. So, we need to bring that back to mediation?
Yeah.
And then openness and mutuality go back as well. So we're not leaving anything out.
Great.
We can bring it all back. Alright, that is good. Let's see, I need to check time real quick. I wanna make sure I give you guys both an equivalent amount of time in these caucuses, so neither of you feels, left out, really.
Okay.
And it looks like we are actually out of time in this caucus, so I'm gonna go and grab Jesse.
Okay.
And then we're going to use our last 10 minutes to discuss these options here, and hopefully find that we come to some more agreements. Alright?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Alright, thank you, Jesse. How was the caucus room?
It was nice, some good snacks.
There is good snacks.
Appreciate free food.
Yeah, I hate that they only usually have trail mix because I'm not a fan of raisins, but occasionally they'll have like those little Ritz crackers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ate around other raisins, there's just a big bowl of raisins in there.
Man, come on. I mean, we don't have too much at the office, but that was one thing. Okay, no. All right. So we had caucuses for the two of you. We're gonna use our last 10 minutes to just go ahead and talk about what we talked about in the caucuses. I'm gonna go ahead and start by saying what we talked about in Jesse's caucus, if you don't mind.
Sure.
All right. So Jessie would like to bring back to the table. She proposes that the band is going to be treated more equally, so no singular force of power. That everyone has to be in agreement on things.
Okay.
She also wants to ask for a mutual apology. So an apology from her as well as an apology from you back. And this is not to the band. This is just between the two of you.
Okay.
Right? Because obviously we got a little bit heated before, and we'll go ahead and put that behind us, right? And then also she wants to improve the band's communication by making sure everyone's voice is heard.
Okay.
In some way, right? And then Jim also had some points to bring back. He wants to include the band more in the creative process. So instead of just you and him writing the music and the lyrics, that he wants to bring in the rest of the band as well. And I like that option as well, because it's also going back to talking to the band. Going back to our first agreement here. He wants to also encourage openness, specifically in himself. He wants to be less secretive about the things that less secret about the things he's doing. But he's also asking that that's mutually recognized, and so that the whole band is willing to share what they have into doing with the music and the rest of the band as part of the group. So, as in, he wants to make sure that something like his album is a secret, doesn't happen again. Also wants to make sure that he knows about if somebody were to call in a deal for the band, that he gets to know about it as well. So we're going to start with Jesse's first proposal, the band equality. Jim, what do you feel about that?
I think that's absolutely
Acceptable?
something we can work with, yeah. Especially if I want to try to work on getting everybody involved in the creative process, then having making sure that we're getting everybody's input on everything is something that's really important.
Yeah. And Jesse, what do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think that's good, and it sounds like it goes back to the not keeping secret things, just
That's
being
true.
more open in general.
So I can file this all under band equality as an agreement on here. So we agree that the band will be treated as equals. All right. So there's no sole source of power in the band. We're going to include the band on the creative process. Was that an agreement that was also reached?
Yeah.
And then we're going to encourage mutual openness about all goings on within the band. Is that another agreement that was reached?
Yes.
So this is all agreeable? All right, that takes care of that one. All right, and then about everyone's voice being heard within the band, specifically what we're talking about is that even though relationships in the band are taken into account based on bias of past histories, we want to make sure that everyone has, an equal say in matters. Is that something we can work on?
Yeah.
Jim, how do you feel about that?
I think that's good. I think we're able to talk everything out pretty well, and we will be able to do it so that nobody's getting hurt or anything. So I think that's something we can
then, Jesse, how do you feel about, improving the voices and like, making sure everyone's treating each other without bias?
Yeah, it's just something that concerns me a little bit, because I know that you have a lot of strong connections with them, but I think that if everybody makes a conscious effort, they should be able to.
Alright, cool. So, that's something obviously that's something you talk to the band.
Yeah.
Really, that's something that needs to be involved with the band. So, last thing, Jesse is asking for a mutual apology. Can you offer a mutual apology?
Yeah, I'm sorry that I went around your back and, dropped the album without letting you know, and then, sorry that I didn't let you know about the agent offer, and I put my interests before the rest of the band.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And I also want to apologize for how our argument went down before this, and how I threatened to sue you over the lyrics,
That was something I didn't know about. Okay, so I'm glad that stayed off the table until now.
It's just kind of a spur of the moment thing, and I probably won't follow through.
I am very glad that you came to mediation instead of taking
Yeah.
that option. That was definitely.
But yeah, that's something that's good that came out of that heated argument. We decided to come to this. You know, like we're two agreements, so that's good.
Awesome. All right, so the apology has been. Did you want anything else with that apology? But that was that. Will that satisfy that request?
I think so.
Perfect.
We accept it.
All right. And you accept her apology in return?
Yes, of course.
All right. So it looks like we've reached a lot of agreements. Can we say that the agreements that we have reached are going to resolve the issue at hand?
Yeah, I think so.
You guys have any left unchecked feelings? I mean, it's a possibility that if we come to this third album and we're unable to create a third album, that we might have to come back to mediation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign homework to you guys. All right. I want both of you together to talk to the band about all the things we discussed here in mediation today. I will type up a memorandum and email it to both of you. All right. And then, so I just need you to talk to the band about what we talked about here in mediation today. After that, if we have come to an agreement, if we have reached, if the band is all for it and everything's good, we can go ahead and say the mediation is complete. You guys do not have to come back next week for the mediation time. Okay? But if in case we do end up with more problems once we involve the band, we might have to bring in some of the band members for mediation as well. But as of right now, we're going to consider that these agreements have been reached, and I'll type up a memorandum of understanding. If anything, for next week's mediation time, we're just going to be signing the memorandum, and then you guys can be on your way. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Sounds
Good
good.
night. Thank you very much for coming. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to come and do this. This was really very good progress we made. Awesome. Thank you very much. The video's over. Now, I want you guys both look at your sheets real quick.
Yeah.
Note that you guys share a relationship.
Okay, I saw it. I noticed that, and I was like, so like, or which one was it?
One of you is, yeah.